We start by introducing yourself.
Yeah, hey, I'm Mark Sira. Darn near 50 years old. You guys are talking about the skating and punk rock scene from Davis from back in the day, and apparently I was part of that, so that's why I'm here.
You named some bands that you were a part of, like your first band, like mid
The
'80s,
first
and
band was I think late 80s. It was a band called Puppet Show. Remember we got the name from Spinal Tap, because at the end of the Spinal Tap tour they're at an amusement park playing, and the marquee says Puppet Show and Spinal Tap, so we thought that was a real funny thing. And that was Matt Mason as the drummer, and Ron Meyer was bass in that, and eventually we brought on Steve Crespel as our singer.
okay.
So, and that was a pretty short-lived band. That band formed right when I was just getting into punk rock. I came from, originally San Jose, and I didn't know anything other than just like corporate, big bands like, REO Speedwagon, Def Leppard, and all those, crappy bands. That's what I was into, because that's all I was exposed to, is my brother's music. So that's that's how I got into music. And when I moved to Davis, I met people like Paul Thomas and Lawrence Herman, and a few other people who were in the scene, and especially Paul Thomas. He's like sort of gently like, hey, I know you like Def Leppard, but you ever considered listening to this band? And it's like, oh, okay. He's real gentle about it. Like, it's like, hey, check this out, check this out. Lawrence, same way. It's like, hey, you might want to listen to this. And before I knew it, it's like, oh, okay, this stuff's really cool. And not only is it really cool, is it something that I could probably do. And so that first band, Puppet Show, that was a reaction to that. And I think about the same time Necromancy had formed and was really inspired by what they were doing. So it's like, oh, okay, I sort of want to do like a hardcore punk band. And got together with Matt, got together with Rod. I don't remember how we met up. I think friends introduced us, and we started jamming in Matt's garage. And we did that for a while. For some reason, I thought I couldn't sing, and we ended up getting Steve to sing. And that was awesome. It was like this awesome singer. It was a great time. I think we played probably 4 or 5 shows or something. We weren't together all that long, but it was an important first step.
Was Matt Mason a really good teacher or coach, music coach?
He was
Someone
just
inspired
funny.
everyone to play?
Him and Rod were just hilarious. It was just fun to hang out with those two guys. And especially Rod was so sort of quirky and quiet, and it was just really unintentionally funny, all the time. Matt, had a wicked sarcastic sense of humor, probably still does. And we were all really just starting out. We had crap equipment. We had, rudimentary musical skills, like any good punk rock band. So, we went from there. We got Steve, who was sort of a level above us. I was always surprised that Steve was agreed to sing for us, because what are you doing with us? I remember his demo tape they gave me from the stuff he was doing, and he grew up in the Bay Area too. The bands that he's in the Bay Area, I just remember being blown away. It was so far above what we were doing, and it wasn't really punk rock. It was sort of a little bit like early U2 or something like that. Super melodic, super awesome. Songwriting is just great. So when he agreed to come on board, I was cool. Maybe we've got something here.
Okay.
But yeah, it was we practiced at Matt's house, and everybody put their best into it. So okay. It was a good first step. Regarding your ability to lead them, the men who lead them. And the Minutemen, who were always super inspiring, because again, it's what the thing about, playing in Davis, and being in the punk scene, was that there were no rules. That you could do or be anybody that you wanted to be, and, look into, some of the bands that had come before, like the Minutemen, it's these guys weren't really what people would think of as hardcore punk or anything. It was messed up jazz.
We found them in the back of a box of the independent artist box at Barney's, Those
yeah,
records.
Because that probably makes a little bit more sense. But at the time, they were so different, in the Southern California scene that the only, and their approach was punk. It was like, we don't care if we don't care if when they started out they didn't really know how to play all that well. We don't care if we don't sound like anybody. We don't care if the guitars sound weird. We
I don't
don't care
think we
about
had a
that stuff. We're
label
gonna
for
play
it.
shows.
Yeah, we didn't have a label. Like, it's kind of a different thing. Like back then, it was like, what label could we have? It Mike and I just called it garage band sound.
Yeah.
We liked it.
Well, I remember when, I really didn't want to be labeled as anything. It wasn't that, I just thought it was limiting. I mean, it wasn't that. It's like, oh, I don't want to be associated with punk rock. I don't want people to think we're, just like obnoxious and going to wreck the place or anything like that. Because, well, we weren't. But, it was more like, not wanting to be sort of pigeonholed into something. And I think a lot of people bristle at that. And that was sort of one of the bad things later on is that it sort of became like, okay, you don't sound punk rock or you don't look punk rock.
How did you feel about like the 93, 94 kind of change or transfer?
After Nirvana?
Yeah, I mean, even with Green Day or with any other band that went from the garage band to big
they were
time.
trying to be Husker Du, like just like everybody else was. The first time I saw them, I was like, wow, that's a pretty good, Husker Du sound. It just things got different. It was mainly, I think, what happened was Nirvana happened, and all of a sudden you had a whole bunch of major labels that were looking at bands, and they didn't understand what they were looking at. We had some minor, major label interest. I know Hollywood Records was interested in us, which was weird. I think it was like Disney's record label, I think is Hollywood. And we had people come out to the shows, and we had some interest. It was just a strange. It was a good time. There was negative stuff, but there was good stuff about it too. I mean, you got the opportunity to play bigger shows. Some people got the opportunity to record stuff and be paid. Ultimately, the bad thing was it all came crashing down because the major labels didn't know what they were doing with these bands. Really, Helmet's a great band on a major label. Really, a lot of bands were like that. And I knew quite a few people who were getting signed and getting those big advances, and then finding out like, oh, okay, you have to pay that money back, and if you don't sell any records, then you sort of, and you don't have any money, then you end up sort of owing your life to the label.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said, with like Playground, I was just always really grateful that we got to do everything I wanted to do in that band, and I was able to walk away and I didn't owe money. We got to put out releases. We got to put out like 3 or 4 7-inches. We got to put out like a full-length CD, and we didn't owe anybody thing to anybody. We always had people who believed in our music enough where they came along and said like, let's do this together, and it's like, okay, great. And so we were super lucky that way, and other people weren't. So, in Puppet Show, we played, we were, like I said, together for a fairly short amount of time, but we played, a few shows. We played at the Place at least once, which is a small venue in Davis.
Tell me about that experience.
Oh, it's incredible. So, I mean, the building, you could go see the building. It's in Central Park in Davis. It's still there. It's the Hattie Weber Museum.
That's the house?
Yeah, it's basically the same structure. I don't think it's changed too much, but when it was being, it was just, I think, a city facility that they let kids use. So somebody started putting on shows. I think Brian Hodgman might have been the person putting on shows there, but maybe some other people. And so there were punk shows like every weekend, it seemed like. And what was really cool about the Place that maybe only seen one other like venue ever in all the shows I've gone to is that they had, like, the thing was sort of shaped like a T, and bands would sort of set up their equipment in this back room where that's on the T, and then you had the open main room. And the way that they would run it is they'd have a band set up over here, and they'd start playing. They'd start playing their show, and meanwhile, everybody sort of be gathering over there, and the other band that was up next would go ahead and, on the other side of the room, set up their equipment. So when the first band was over, just people would simply turn around to watch the next band. And it was really cool. It was like, just kept things going. There was no real pause, and like, waiting for the next band to go. And they'd have like, I think 3 or 4 band bills depending on what was going on that night. And I know we played there at least once. I even remember which side of the room we played on. I think we have pictures somewhere. We played a few parties. We played the punk picnic in the park.
Did you have experiences with people jumping on the stage or?
Oh no, it was never cool though. I always got the drunk guy or the weirdo who like wanted to talk to me. He was like always there for me, never for Sean, in Playground, or never for Rod in puppet shows. He always gravitated towards me. So it was never a cool thing. It was always like, okay, yeah, well, we're gonna play our next song. It's like, could you move a little so I can at least get to the microphone or something? And but yeah, no, we had. Those shows were super, super spirited. I mean, people were really into the music. And it was just a whole sense of camaraderie as far as, what was going on at Davis. And then...
What did the walls look like inside the place? Was it just trash?
It was... I don't remember it being too bad. I mean, it was a city-maintained facility.
I do remember it.
It was just like old house. I think it's probably beige paint or something like that. Like
where they had the haunted house also?
If they did, that's a real small haunted house.
I forget. Oh, okay.
I mean, probably what the capacity at the place was maybe. Again, I'm getting old. I can't remember it. It seemed big, like even back then, but probably like 50 people, maybe even less.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, they had like fairly big bands. Like Fang played there.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of bands. Everybody played there. It's like because there weren't that many all ages venues that you could play in, and the booking was fair, and all you had to do was just go, yeah, we're going to show up and play, and you get a show there. It wasn't hard.
Okay.